offsets that they've taken from the budget to try to make that happen. Did I speak that correctly, Chip?
If you take a switching gears, and you had mentioned electricity as very, if you look at all of the schools comparatively, the requested increases that you've asked for, the percentages vary. And I could see how it would vary for the high school if you're building a whole new box and anticipating turning more light switches on. But I was wondering if you could speak to the issue of what type of increase you used for budgeting purposes, and I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. If you look at across all the schools that you have, Sandy Hook you increased by 15.4, which is about 18.6%, but the middle school you increased by 16,000, which was only 9%. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to me insofar, and that's the same plant. If you take a look at the high school, it was actually 18%. It was in the middle of the other increases. I would think that would be larger in anticipation of more space. Hawley was actually 13%. Hedda Meadow was actually 7%. So for standard plants and the same number of light switches and whatnot, I don't understand the variance. I was wondering if somebody could speak to that.
We'll get you more detail on that. I will tell you that we have a variety. Just to kind of leading into that, we have been able to put in a variety of energy saving windows, things like that, and sensitive switches in some of the schools. We're not completely all over. We aren't completely around the district yet, so that will be one of the reasons. But I'll give you more in detail on Wednesday.
Where'd you put them in?
I'll give you that in detail Wednesday also, so you'll know just where we've been.
Well, it would seem to me that there would be a standard increase expected, plus or minus, and if we're saving that much, you'd be interested in seeing why we're not doing it.
Okay, we'll give more detail.
There seems to be a fairly large increase in the overtime and maintenance for building and grounds, over almost 70%. Yes.
I can't answer that for you right now. That'll be one we'll have an answer for.
There's a larger increase on the salaries for maintenance of building and grounds, and there's also there's a 70% increase in overtime. It's $27,000. Again, it's not a killer, but it is a rather large increase. But the category struck me as being overtime. How we would know that now, and what the issue is.
One of the biggest issues with overtime is the use of the building outside school hours. And I know that's one of the issues. We'll give you all the detail behind it on Wednesday. But when any community event goes on Saturday, and that this building, and is always open, those are overtime custodians. When Parks and Rec is using this building, we're paying for those custodians. Any of those types of things that go on, a Sunday opening, that's an overtime custodian. So just be aware that this is a community place here, and it's used all the time.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but
yeah.
that would appear to me to be a consistent occurrence year after year, and you're asking for a sizable increase in an overtime category.
So he's working.
I give you my sheet, David.
Page 82, that's what you're talking about. Really dead inside of the page. Increase the level of overtime requirements.
I think that's a different. I think you just brought up another question. Moving along. I had this one jumps out at me. Just I'm not picking on the increases. You have a rather large reduction in refuse. Are we expecting less garbage?
I don't think our garbage is going to go down, but I will find out why we have a different contract.
I would think it would go up with more space.
Yeah. Recycling program.
It does. Well, again,
we have had some very
there's a brief
ingenious
reference in the book to it, but again, I think it's important for the public.
to hear that.
It's important for the public to know where you're saving money. One of the other things that jumped out at me is kind of switching gears a little bit is the issue of custodians. Let me just tell you what I did with the help of our business manager. First of all, does the Board of Ed have a policy, or does the school system administration have a policy as to how you figure out how many custodians you need?
Actually, we do, and it's fairly close to the factor of 18,000 square feet. It's roughly that.
The reason why I asked the question is if you take a look, because this is why for finance, we didn't label it geeks, but if you take a look at if you put everything that you have custodian-wise on a piece of paper, it seems like you could make an argument to help. Also, if you take a look at some of the standards that are on the web, I guess my first question is, there's a couple places that you can find standardization in this type of thing, and if there's a need, I'd like to see it illustrated, but my question is, that standardization seems to be a lot higher square footage. Something in the neighborhood of 24,000 to 25,000.
Right. When I took a look at this, and I know what you're talking about in the articles on the web, when I took a look at that, it really depends on what standard they're using, and I think the one of 24 uses universities also, and some of the others use a standard of 16, and some use a standard of 18. But I think if you use the factor of 18, you'll see that we're right where we need to be. If anything, we might be just a little short on our custodians, and part of that is due to the quality of the work that we expect, the standard we expect in our buildings. When you factor in university standards, and I don't know if any of you have been into university classrooms lately, but they certainly are not acceptable in terms of a standard for what we want in our schools. The other factor that enters in is the constant use of the buildings, because it's when an event takes place, our custodians not only have to clean up for what has gone on in the normal day of working, but then they've got to clean up after that group has left the school. So we prefer using the 18 as the standard. And I think you'll see when you look at the number of custodians, we're pretty close to where we should be, maybe a little short.
Well, the reason why I asked the question is because if you look at that, there's actually 3 schools where you're under that.
Yes.
That standard.
Yes. I agree.
And again, I'm not picking on anybody particularly, but given the issue of what we're doing, if you add that up, that's actually a few more people above and beyond
what we even right. We
So I'd like to know. All
John?
Sandy Hook, Middlegate, Meadow. You can. Right.
But I did have that. I did the study of it.
Switching gears, I had a question on. You may need to check this for me too, but what's that?
You have to grow up more.
Well, interesting.